Hey, welcome back everybody to the channel, and today I'm going to be giving my way too early NFL playoff predictions. So it's going to be in two parts actually. I'm going to be doing this in two parts. Part one is going to be today, and part two is going to today later, and it's going to be uploaded later, and part two is going to be tomorrow. And for now, just part one, so I don't have to take too much time, especially since it's late at night already. I'm just going to be explaining briefly why I think each of these teams are going to make it. I'm going to start on the right side, the NFC side of the playoffs, and number one seed, I have the Los Angeles Rams. They're essentially one of the most, they're one of the better teams in the conference. And they got Matthew Stafford. I'm glad he escaped that hole in dirt known as Detroit. But yeah, I'm just glad for the dude. He's a pretty good quarterback after all. He's a pretty good QB after all. So and the Rams, their schedule, it is one of the hardest in the NFC. I think it's the hardest of the NFC of their division. But I think they should manage a 15-2 record have in store for them. Number two, the Tampa Bay Bucs. They just won the Super Bowl last year, so in short, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They just won the Super Bowl last year. They just won the Super Bowl last year, and they returning a lot of their offensive weapons. They have the greatest player of all time in Tom Brady. They have a pretty good running back, Leonard Fournette, pretty good wide receivers in Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and a pretty good all-around roster, a pretty good coach as well in Bruce Arians. So number two seed, 14-3. I think the Rams beat the Bucs directly by a field goal. I think that's what I would take. Then the Bears. NFC North is, probably going to be one of the worst. Their division in particular is probably going to be one of the worst in the NFL, since maybe, this doesn't directly involve them, of course, but a player from another team in said division is probably going to leave the team. So I think that leaves room for the Bears to take the division. I think that leaves room for the Bears to take the division at probably a 10-7 record, since I don't think that division is going to be really good, honestly. So I think 10-7, number 3 seed, only because the number 4 seed is going to be worse. However, the Bears did a good job drafting. They got Justin Fields with the number 12 pick. That was a pretty good incentive to trade up to get that pick, and I honestly really like that pick. And I think he should be the starter. Probably not to start the year, because they're going to give it to Andy Dalton. However, maybe once the Bears have their bye week, they're gonna take a week to make a decision, and just maybe say, hey, it's time to start Fields, to give him game experience or something. So number 3, 10-7 record. Then the football team, they play in the worst division. The Washington football team, they play in the worst division of all the NFL. They play in the worst division of all the NFL, so they're gonna somehow win this division at an 8-1 record. Yes, it's 17 games now instead of 16, so it's going to be an 8-1 record. So, number 4 seed. Then I have my San Francisco 49ers. We did a pretty good addition. We did pretty good in adding assets to the team. We drafted Trey Lance, number 3 overall. We really like that pick. We got Mohamed Sanu in free agency. We drafted Trey Sermon in the 3rd round. Really good running back. If this team does last year, this team had a lot of injuries. Last team had a lot of injuries. So honestly, if we manage to stay healthy, like the whole team, I think we can make a pretty deep run at contending. However, honestly, we're not going to beat out the Rams for the division, so I think we're going to finish 13-4, number 5 in the playoff bracket. Number 6, the Seattle Seahawks. They're a pretty good team. They're a pretty good team in the same division. However, critical with that, but I mean, I didn't really hear much of their draft, and however, despite that, they have a pretty good roster. Their QB, Russell Wilson, just one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, at least this decade. Greatest QBs is this decade. However, his play has diminished a bit, and the Seahawks have no O-line or base of defense whatsoever. So I think that's going to cost them a bit, especially since their schedule's a bit tough. So number 6 at 12-5. Then the last team in the right side of the bracket, the Arizona Cardinals, they did amazingly well in free agency. They signed J.J. Watt, one of the best defensive linemen in the entire NFL. They drafted Zaven Collins, another linebacker. Honestly, I didn't think Zaven Collins was going to go that early, but still pretty good. Still a pretty good selection by them. They did assign. They have a lot of guys. They have Kyler Murray. They have Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella, Chase Edmonds, James Conner. They also signed James Conner in free agency. So expect good things to come out of this team. However, I'm going to have them at 7 because people are talking about the super team, and I think they're going to flop, honestly. I think they're not going to live up to expectations, in my opinion. However, I think they should still be enough to sneak in the playoffs as the number 7 seed in the West region. And then to start the East region, I have the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the Cleveland Browns as the number 1 seed. If you didn't, yes, the Cleveland Browns. One of the biggest laughing stocks of the past couple of years. However, they've improved. They've improved a lot. They've got the most complete roster in the league, and I mean it with that. They drafted 2 defensive linemen. The second one in the first and second round. The second round was a total steal in Elijah Vera Tucker. They drafted Greg Newsome first round, which is a really good pick. They have a pretty good quarterback, best running back duo in the league. Pretty good wide receiver in Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. And honestly, this is probably the best roster you can expect in the entire NFL, so I'm honestly in for it. Then the Chiefs. The Chiefs are coming off the Super Bowl loss. However, they still should be in consideration for contention. They've got the greatest. Quarterback, the most electrifying quarterback as of now. Not the greatest, but the most electrifying as of now. They have a pretty good. They drafted running back last year, is pretty good. They have the fastest wide receiver in the league. They have the fastest wide receiver in the league, and they should expect to be back. However, they're going to need to improve their O-line a lot, which is probably going to. It's not going to do damage to them at all. Probably. Well, I mean, not at all, but I mean, not like. It's not going to cause that much of an issue. However, I think the Chiefs still finished second. I have the Browns with a 15-2 record, and the Chiefs with a 15-2 record. However, tiebreakers eventually caused the Browns to get the number 1 seed, and the Chiefs to be the number 2 seed. However, maybe the Chiefs finished 14-3. I'm not really sure, but I mean, it's still pretty good overall for them. Number 3, I have the Buffalo Bills. They're really good. They have an MVP caliber quarterback in Josh Allen. They have pretty good wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, who they got in trade from the Minnesota Vikings. They had honestly pretty good last year. They finished second in the AFC and finished and made the AFC Championship before the loss to before the Chiefs, who I previously mentioned. So, honestly, this team should be back. Number 3 seed is mildly fine for them. Then the Titans at number 4. I think the Titans, the AFC South, will be the worst division in their respective conference. Since I think the only team that can reasonably win the division there is the Titans. I think the Colts, I don't have them quite there yet. I think the Titans should be able to win this division. Derrick Henry's a beast at running back. Honestly, to say the least, Derrick Henry is a total beast. And Ryan Tannehill is still pretty good. So I mean, that should be a deadly duo there. They have AJ Brown as well, who's a really good wide receiver as well. So they should without any problem be the number 4 seed. in this coming playoffs. Then the Colts, aforementionedly the Colts. They have a really good running back in Jonathan Taylor, and they have a pretty good O-line as well, a pretty good defense, honestly, a pretty good all-around team. However, the quarterback situation is what concerns me. Carson Wentz is not that good, honestly. He's not that good. He played amazingly in the 17-18 season, but since then he has regressed a lot. He played horribly last year. To say the least. However, let's see what he can do at Indianapolis. Maybe I should stop doubting him. And honestly, I'm taking a gamble. For me personally, I'm taking a gamble here, having them at 5. But who knows? Maybe I should stop doubting Wentz, and maybe he proves me wrong this upcoming season. The Chargers. Justin Herbert won Rookie of the Year last year. Played amazingly. He played amazingly last year. And his supporting cast was not that good. He has his best wide receiver is Mike Williams. His running back is pretty good. He has a pretty good running back, Austin Eckler. However, after that, the backups aren't that solid, and Austin Eckler got injured last year. So, however, he still played at an exceptional level, and honestly, he should lead the Chargers to the playoffs. So they hired a new coach. I think they did already. But they should hire a new coach already because the previous one already got fired. So, but honestly, this is a playoff team. I can totally see that this is a playoff team, and it would surprise me if they don't make it this year. Then the Patriots. The Patriots are a wild card team for me right now. The Patriots, they added Jonnu Smith, they added Hunter Henry in free agency. They drafted Mac Jones, and they also drafted Mac Jones in the 15th pick this year. So they should be good. They have Cam Newton, quarterback. He hasn't done well recently, but he's still a pretty good quarterback. So I think the Patriots can make the playoffs this year. And that would be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with the part 2.